first of all, men don't get on with it. They age badly. They die. They die earlier than women, and so they don't get on with it. And the other thing is why we must pay more attention to women aging is because, as I said, women live longer lives. And because, one, we live longer lives, we end up being alone. Two, although we live longer than men, we have more disability and, to some extent, disease in our old age. So biology tries to balance. We are living longer lives, but we have more disease and disability. So we end up with osteoporosis, osteoarthritis, depression, and more dementia, partly because we grow older and partly because we are women. So women, and on top of it, women are really the ones who do most of the caring responsibilities. We look after children, we look after older people, we look after the home. So in a way, the care responsibilities are not evenly divided between men and women. So women do end up carrying a bigger burden, intentionally or otherwise. So we do have to pay more attention to their aging. I could go on and on about this, is one of my, but I want to hear Cecilia and Linda's, viewpoint on this.
Maybe I will share because I saw that question earlier and I thought it was quite funny. In the sense that as you listen to what I said about communications, it applies to both men and women, right? So it just so happens that this is a women's forum, and therefore we organized it to tell women how we can do better in terms of coping with aging and also coping with communications and interpersonal relations. I think the men need it as much, really. And if we can get ourselves into some men's organization, we would do the same talk. There's no difference in that sense.
Yeah, I like what Kani was saying. Yeah, men actually don't get on with it. Because if you think about it, the man who is so attached to his work, where work defines himself, once he retires, he has nothing to do. He doesn't know what to do. So this is where the difference between men and women, whereas, and the other part is that women are more emotional than men. So men get on with it in the sense that they don't consider emotions or anything of that sort. They just try to be problem solvers all the time, usually, right? Whereas for women, wow, they can multitask, so that there's other things that they can look to after retirement. It doesn't just end there. So the linear cycle, that linear path is again broken in that sense, so to be able to take on something new and meaningful is actually, women are more open to that. But for men, because they're so used to it, generally, and once they stop work or retirement means, what am I going to do? And then some say, oh, I'm going to travel after that. Yes, but then come COVID, what happens to my traveling plans? So it is very different in that sense. Yeah. So that's why the preparation or the thinking ahead is actually quite important, although it may not happen so immediately. Besides interpersonal relationships, we also need to look at ourselves for your intrapersonal relationship. That means, how are you as an individual having a relationship with yourself? So Cecilia's points and Kani's points are also important, whereby you need to get to know yourself more and, ask yourself, if you think you are molding or you are acting according to what other people are molding you, what parts of it do you enjoy? What parts of it do you not enjoy? And if it allows you to change that mold, by all means, because we don't have to cater to one person's total expectations of us. I guess sometimes young children may feel this way, whereby my parents, my father expects me to be a doctor when I grow up like him, for example, right? So these are parts where we try. You can encourage, you can be supportive, yes, but whether really that child wants to be a doctor or a lawyer when he grows up, you need to allow him to experience that, and let him make the choice as an adult. So the tendency to overread, yes, comes in because we feel, you need to ask yourself, do I feel as if I am meeting someone's expectations? At what expense? How much of it is at my own sacrifice or at my own unwillingness, or I'm doing it because he or she says so because my husband expects me to. But then again, does your husband really expect you to? If you don't do it, for instance, what is the consequence? You know, are you being taken for granted? You know, so it's very important to have a relationship with yourself. So this intrapersonal relationship as well is important to have for every individual.
When we say we affirm ourselves and we know what we want, we must also tell people. That's the part about the letting people know what is your own plant, right? So, you know, they may be overwatering you as a stop. And so therefore, but unless they know who you are, they will, you know, impose, you know, what they think upon you. So it starts off with the first conversation, as you said, in your own head. Am I comfortable with who I am? Am I comfortable in telling people who, you know, what I feel and what I need? And then, yeah, I appreciate, you know, all these things that you're trying to do for me, but here, give me some room to grow and give me some space. So try having that conversation. A lot of times we just react to things rather than talking with deep intent. So I go back to my first few words of intent and context of a conversation.